Welcome to this week's episode of the Lads Film Thing podcast, where four friends discuss a film and generally have a good time. So you've got Lucy.
Hey.
Abby.
Hi there.
Dan.
Hi.
And me, Sam. So Abby, this week was your film choice.
So this week I chose Dirty Dancing, the 1987 romantic dance drama directed by Emil Ardolino and starring Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze. I just felt like it was a seminal film in terms of its impact on other films. Its attempt to be somewhat right on and discuss some issues around discrimination and equality, and obviously on all my future relationships. So just a very quick précis of what happens. Basically tells the story of Jennifer Grey, who is Frances' baby houseman, and she falls in love with a dance instructor at a resort who is Patrick Swayze, or Johnny Castle. Shall we leap in?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Amazing. So although the film was in 1987, it is the summer of 1963.
What?
Yep. I know, take yourself, imagine.
Movie magic.
Imagine that this is the case. And Frances, baby houseman, is spending some time at a vacation resort with her family. So that's her dad, Jake, her mum, Marge, and her older sister, Lisa.
They don't look overly like sisters, do they?
They look literally nothing alike at all.
Like I know siblings can look different, but they're pushing their luck a bit there.
Yeah, in every way possible.
I didn't realise it was older sister until you said that.
Yeah, she very much acts like the younger sister as well.
Yeah, because baby was like the favourite first child vibe, and then she got more freedom with the family. Yeah. I really thought Lisa was the younger sister.
She's going to work in the Peace Corps as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which seems very much like a responsible older sibling thing to do.
It's a good thing, is like no further questions. The Peace were, good
end of.
Yeah.
She meets Patrick Swayze, which is never mentioned again.
Yeah.
Can I say that at the beginning, she mentions that that summer she was called Baby, and she didn't question it. Is it that what she says? She says like
she does.
I didn't think anything of it, or
because it implies like every summer she gets sick. That equally as terrible as Baby.
Yeah, and it also,
she is the baby. That does make more sense now.
It does.
Of the family,
but it also does imply that she's not actually happy about that. But for that particular summer, she didn't question it.
Yeah, it kind of suggested that she wasn't happy with it. I think, is that in the same little bit of blurb at the beginning as where she's talking or saying that weird thing about her dad? Where she's like, this was a time before I realised that there could be a better man than my dad, or whatever it was that was weird. And you're like, so this whole film is just set up for daddy issues, I guess. God. Like, off the bat, they don't even pretend that it's not.
Although, to be fair, that's one of the points I wanted to raise later. I'm putting out there that this is not a romantic drama film, whatever we're calling it. This is a film about a father and daughter relationship.
Oh.
Very different to the one in Old Boy. But
is it though?
Yes, it is, definitely. But I think this film, like, when you are a dad and you watch this film, you're like, I can really empathise with that storyline above all the others. Because it's the dad and daughter who like thinks his daughter's the best, does whatever he says, they have this close bond, and then she just ignores everything he says and goes off with Patrick Swayze's Johnny Castle.
And as you say that, it reminds me of that Modern Family episode where Phil finds out that Hayley's not a virgin anymore, and he's like looking at her like, oh, but I brought you home from the hospital. Which is, I guess there's a whole bunch of issues around
but even
male setting up of virginity as a thing. But anyway,
that's for another time.
That's not where I was going with that. But there's the scene on the golf course where he's like, "Oh, you used to be able to tell me everything," and it's literally like the split between their close daddy-daughter relationship and just her being her own like independent woman.
Yeah.
But it's nice because by the end of it, they kind of get back there to like a new understanding, and that is the story of the film for me.
Oh,
yeah.
Dan, did you have that same thought?
I didn't, no, but that was very insightful, and I liked that a lot.
Oh.
That was really good.
I agree. That's good. but I hadn't picked up on that throughout the movie, to be fair. That wasn't like my main focus, but definitely agree.
I suppose that's the thing about a good film, isn't it? Like, you can take different things from it. Like, the first time I watched it, didn't cross my mind, but that time I was paying more attention. But yeah, that time really struck me that this was like about their relationship as much as like her and Johnny.
That is, it's because probably the first time when you watched it, you were more Baby's age and Patrick Swayze's age, and so you were probably putting yourself.
It was a year ago.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like you empathise with a character throughout.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like, yeah, for now, because I have my own children, I'm empathising more with the parents and how I would see it if it was my kids. Whereas when we first would have seen it, whenever that was.
Yeah. You're true. And you choose a character to be like, that's the one most like me in that film. I think also having the last 2 weeks of real life where our eldest is now old enough for her own mobile phone. She can walk home from school. You're like, oh God, they're getting older. So maybe it's just the right time to watch that film with what's going on in our actual lives.
Yeah.
I really identified with Patrick Swayze's character.
Did you?
Yeah.
Years of training as a dance instructor must have really hit home.
And just rugged looks.
Don't
laugh so much.
No, sorry. No, what?
You've got a real face for podcast.
What I was going to say was that actually it's funny you saying about who you identify most with, because Patrick Swayze was essentially our age when he made this film, even though he was supposed to be 25. So it is fair that you'd identify more with him than you would the 60-year-old
somebody pretend
dad.
to be younger than they are.
So they are at Kellerman's, which is owned by Baby's dad's best friend, Max. And when Baby is out one night, she sees Max telling the waiters, who are Ivy League students, to romance the guest daughters. Even the dogs, I believe.
Oh yeah, what was the line?
I picked up on that, and it was, show the daughters a good time. All the daughters, even the dogs. Which is objectively awful. But I mean, I don't know why it's in there.
It's also inclusive though.
It's yeah. I mean,
would you rather him say not the dogs? that's awful. Well, do you have something against people that are unattractive?
Or dogs?
I have nothing against dogs or people who are unattractive. It's the amalgamation of the two, where people who are unattractive are called dogs. Okay,
wow.
But is it in there as this was in 1987? Was that in there as like a way of calling people out in the 60s for calling people dogs back in that time? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I just thought that line, it just very jarring and awful.
One of the weirdest things about that is that Max is one of the most likable characters in the whole thing. You're like, yeah, he's a good guy that I really like, except he said that line and he's actually awful. And as part of that, we are introduced to the working class entertainment staff who include Johnny Castle, Patrick Swayze, obviously most important part of the entire film.
Do you like Patrick Swayze like back in the day then?
No, I wouldn't have said that I do, but I think there's a real comparison of him and Neil as the two of them, aren't there? Like the Kellerman's grandson, is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And that comparison of those two as being
partnered with Baby in the first
yeah,
half set up,
who's just an absolute wiener.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What other word is it other than wiener?
Doofus, maybe?
Yeah, no,
Weave,
Doofus feels too fun though.
Yeah, Doofus, can make you laugh. He's none of that. No.
But also later
Twerp?
on, he is a dick, actually.
Yeah.
Twerp's quite good, I think.
Twerp.
Yeah.
That's definitely a my mum word
to
use. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is my problem with Johnny Castle. He's not that likable. And it's supposed to be this romance between the two getting together, but he is a bit of a dick, isn't he? If we're honest. And the only saving grace is Robbie, who is one of the waiting staff, who is such a tool that he makes anyone look more attractive and nicer. So I think Johnny Castle in a film without Robbie would not be that appealing. But when you've got this almost a villain in Robbie who's just doing all the horrible stuff and like privilege and all that kind of stuff and just taking advantage of people, that Johnny Castle becomes a much more likable character, not through his own merit.
No, I would say that I see what you mean. He's not sort of...
He's really mean to Baby when he first meets her.
Yeah, he's not super lovable. And yeah, there is that. But then also there's like some camaraderie in the kids, I suppose they are, in the friends, in that they look out for each other. And I guess that's moving on more to when Baby volunteers to do the dance, so to help Penny. And she finds the money for her, and she just realises she's having an awful time.
But she's not even part of that gang, like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she still does that. And then obviously Johnny is worried about her and about Penny, and he's a good person.
Yeah, he's really nice. He has nice relationships with Penny and that kind of stuff, but he is a bit. I suppose it's part of the story, but he's a bit mean to Baby and a bit writes her off at the start with no real justification.
Yeah,
considering
there's that definite element of between the dancers and the guests of like an us and them situation.
But when you have the waiting staff who treat so best and treat the entertainment staff like rubbish, the entertainment staff do the same to the guests.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no excuse for that. Like, he's still a dick, but there's definitely a turning point in the film, because even when she does come up with the money at first, he's like, "Oh, you went to your dad. That's for the money."
Oh, true.
Is that why I don't have it in my pocket? So.
Yeah, exactly. I got the money. Come on, she can go and get the abortion that she needs. I
love that you call them.
Where it come from.
I love that you call them kids as well, Luce. It really reminds me of that Steve Buscemi sketch where he's like, "Hi, kids." They are far too old to be all kids. Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried about showing too much of myself here, but I feel like many women external to this conversation find something attractive about a man who is not overly friendly, but then is a good person.
The bad boys.
Yeah, how's that ever worked out for anyone?
Well, the thing is, the bad boys are actually nice people, don't exist, do they? But that is
Oh, I think you found one.
I know.
The diamond.
We were lucky, so we found those.
These guys are bad boys. Is that what you say?
But in a bit of arrogance, a bit of defensiveness, and then also he's really good and he stands up for what he believes in things.
Yeah,
dancing.
He has. Well, no, it comes back round later on when he says. So he said, "Oh, it must be really hard to run off to Daddy to get the money." It does come round later on when she says, "Oh, I only asked my dad," and he says, "That was really brave, and it was hard for you to do that." It does come back round. So perhaps it's sort of he's got a hard exterior, but once you're
he does.
Oh, Abby.
Keep it in your pants up.
Once you land his trust and you're in, then he is a good guy, and maybe that's what you're enjoying over there, Abby, is the hard exterior with the soft centre.
The dime bar.
You're not a Rolo.
No, it's not a time bar.
It's not a time bar, is it?
Time bar is hard in the middle.
Oh, no, yeah, sorry, it's an armadillo. But that's from the dime advert.
No, it's hard on the outside, soft on the inside.
That's not a dime bar, though.
Dime bar advert is armadillo.
Yeah.
What, with the tagline of hard on the outside and soft in the middle?
No, hard.
Inside.
It's the opposite of an armadillo. Whereas an armadillo is soft on the inside, crunchy on the outside.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes, okay, I guess.
Do not want to describe Patrick Swayze as crunchy, please.
Oh, so you're saying he's an armadillo rather than a dime bar?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Why not?
I see the attraction in that. Yeah.
When you see the attraction in an armadillo.
No, in the analogy of hard on the outside, soft on the inside.
Yeah.
Nice guy that just acts like a cock.
So we've spoken a bit about Johnny Castle and his kind of place within everything. One of the things for me was that, like you said, Luce, that real dichotomy between the working class and the wait staff, and then also the guests, who between those three kind of groups of people. And I thought, obviously, they make a big deal about it being the summer of 1963, and it's kind of referenced several times throughout this kind of classist thing. And I noticed that the dad, he said something about Birmingham, like literally immediately when they got there. And so I looked it up because I was like, I wonder what they're trying to reference. Because I think there's so much of this where you're like, it's really obvious that this is done in the 80s, talking about the 60s, because they are having to literally reference that. But it was a time when the police used dogs and fire hoses on children to keep them from leaving a black segregated area. And I feel like this film, although maybe it misses the mark like a lot of the time, it does try and kind of bring up some of those issues. And I just thought there is some, although you would never ever think that there was a link between Dirty Dancing and Get Out, but it just kind of, it does try and approach some of those issues.
Yeah, there's definitely like layers of discrimination there, aren't there, and how people treat it.
Yeah.
Well, and it was 1963, I think, was the year that Martin Luther King was shot, and JFK.
JFK, yeah.
So, like, there was just so much stuff going on there. And again, it's weird because they were like, we have to pick a year where everything was going on in America so that we can, like...
Yeah. So what was the
Tag
line
on.
in the film again? Sorry?
Why?
It's just...
But there's a mention of reference to Birmingham.
Yeah, there was a reference.
right.
I think the dad says something as they're getting out of the car when they first start, and it's a reference to, well, it's not as bad as this, and because the dad is like really right on, isn't he? And he is trying to teach his kids that, but also taking them to these places where they are other than and better than like the other stuff. Then there's a weird bit where baby carries some watermelons for
the biggest watermelons you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
And we didn't see the use of those watermelons, did we?
No.
He was carrying them in, struggling, and then opened the doors, and then that's where you first see all the dirty dancers doing their business and stuff, and then it's just like the watermelons never existed ever.
Yeah.
Well, except she says that weird thing where she's like, I carried a watermelon.
Oh,
Then that's
Oh yeah, they're like, why is she here? Why is there a guest here? I carried a watermelon.
But then on the subject of the dirty dancing, and sure, it was dirty dancing, I guess. But
it was dirty dancing.
but when there was a sex scene in there with Johnny and Baby, the least dirty thing, like they saved all the dirty for the dancing. It should be called Dirty Dancing and Shit Sex Scenes, like just to like make it weird, because it was so like lame, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I guess they're going for like a romantic spin.
Yeah, but if you're like, that's the dance, you're like, the sex scene is going to be like amazing. No,
When it's filthy sex scene.
but yeah, or at least dirty, like to match the tone of the film,
To match the dancing.
or at least some water. I don't know, something. Get those watermelons back in.
What rating was the film? Did they tone it down for like a bigger audience? Like they can get away with some of the dancing being suggestive, but like an actual sex scene being quite descriptive and graphic, they would have to definitely tone that down back in the 80s to keep the certificate down.
Yeah, that's good.
In the 80s, fake 60s.
80s fake.
Yeah.
I saw somebody the other day just walking along and I was like, they're dressed like the 80s fake 60s. They were just dressed exactly the same. They don't look particularly...
But they've just actually been on Vinted.
Yeah. So, there is much debauchery. There is much gyrating. Baby is introduced to Max Kellerman's grandson, Neil. They have a little flirt. He flirts with her. He attempts to flirt with her. He's a dweeb, as he said. Then, Baby learns that the dance partner of Johnny is pregnant and finds out that it's by somebody else. It's not by Johnny. Her name's Penny, and she is pregnant by Robbie. He's really upset because...
And Robbie is going out with Lisa, the older sister, at this point, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Then Robbie just refuses to help Penny, won't do anything at all to help her. And that kind of takes us on to the next section of the film where Baby steps in and wants to help.
And this is where she is like, I'll be the dance partner. She can't do this show that they've got across town and make it back or something. Penny, this is. And so she's like, I'll step in. I'll learn all the moves. And that's where her relationship actually shifts from being like an outsider to an insider.
She's in the gang.
Yeah. She's willing to help out, not just getting some money from her dad, but actually put herself on the line under the pressure and learn all this stuff.
And she doesn't have long to do it, but luckily there's a montage.
There is a
So
my
she
God.
learns everything in like
That's
2 minutes, which was really good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did enjoy that.
That's how you do a montage.
Yeah. That was an amazing montage. I
That-
wrote that down actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
So did I. Best montage ever. It's
And like
that
people always
Wipeout
judge,
song, isn't
they
it?
get judged a lot, don't they? Montage, and they like as soon as one starts, like this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, if I could get fit with a montage, that would be the
Yeah,
best.
if we can have way more in life, like you're just like making a meal, you're like montage. Come on.
Yeah, actually. Like people always say, oh, what's the superpower you wish you could have? Oh, flying, invisibility, X-ray vision, montage.
Montage my
learning.
life, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Montage,
Cleaning,
a period of time.
Everything, yeah.
No, but remember, that happens in Teen Titans Go, and it goes really badly.
Of course.
Well, because
But
you
what
can't
happened?
montage. Because they like montage learning karate. So it's them just being like, ha, hiya, hiya. And then they have to fight somebody and they don't know anything other than those,
Ah,
the
those
bits
little
they learned in
snippets.
the montage. Yeah, it's amazing.
So they're entering a competition for this dance, is that right? Across town?
No,
It's a different holiday camp.
Yeah,
isn't it, I think?
she's got. So he's going to lose his salary if he doesn't do it.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah.
it's got to be done.
I think they've just got another gig across like
Oh, okay.
the other side of town at a different holiday camp. And it's
Okay.
literally just a dance they have to do to show people. isn't
Yeah,
it?
I did think that was weird. I thought it was a competition or something like when watching it. Must not
Yeah,
have
I
paid
think
not enough
it's just-
attention.
And it's like, obviously, it's all toned down, isn't it? Because it's like the guests.
Yeah.
So it's all just like standard dancing.
I just went with it for the sake of the plot.
Yeah. But I did enjoy the fact that she. Well, I guess she was. I mean, I don't know why she cared so much about Penny. Obviously, of not knowing her, and maybe it's because she had the hots for Johnny.
She didn't have much else to do there.
True.
yeah, and she's joining the Peace Corps.
I mean,
That's literally
Stan
that
was keeping a pretty good schedule of like activities in the place, but
Yeah,
she
but
didn't seem busy.
I mean, I was just going with it, but I did really like the fact that she went so much out of her way to help her, to help Penny, and like even if
Yeah.
she had the money and she was like, "Oh, I can't do it anyway because we've got this show to do," she still stepped up and helped with that bit as well.
Yeah.
Which obviously was like pivotal in that it's and Johnny first, but you know me, I like the adorable moments, and I was like, yes, I love that she's well and truly in there now because she was willing to go so far out of her way to do that. So
Yeah.
that was quite a nice bit of the film, I thought.
It's adorable, but it literally makes no sense whatsoever. Like, she has never danced before in her life. And he's like, but this person who's a dancer can't do it, and this person who's a dancer who
Yeah.
can't do it. Even though we were just in a room full of gyrating people,
Yeah,
I only know
who
2
clearly-
people
yeah.
who could. And then you're next on the list,
Yeah.
a woman I've just met and who has never danced before in her life.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's needed. Otherwise, the
He
film
did do a
just
little
ends
bit
there.
like, oh, they're working double shifts, they're covering for her doing that. There was
Yeah.
a small little glimpse of this is literally the only choice left.
There was, except we saw like 40 people
But
gyrating.
he covers
in
4
that
of them
room.
in his list, so like that clearly was fine.
But we also saw Baby. That was a bit where I was a little bit grossed out. When I think it was just in that gyrating room, when he comes over and tries to like teach her a little bit about it, and so starts like gyrating on her or getting her to gyrate on him, and she's rubbish, and obviously she's supposed to be rubbish. But I did feel like that was pretty obvious, like too far. Like she was shit, basically. And then for him to be like, yes, you can definitely, I will teach you this like amazing dance that Penny's clearly spent forever doing in 3 nights or however long it is. It was a little bit far-fetched, that bit. And I did think the way he went over and tried to teach her this, like he could tell she wasn't a dirty dancer, but he was still trying to get her.
To dance dirty.
Yeah. And I was a little bit like, oh, if that, I mean, I've been in a room before where, okay, this sounds weird, but like anything.
Where is this going?
No, like I'm just talking about like, you know, when you're young and you end up being at like a wedding or some sort of disco and you like lock eyes with some like old man across the room who starts like dancing that's suggestive, and I was like, no, back off, not up for this.
Yeah.
Whereas I thought that was what's happening and I don't like it. But obviously they were both up for it and it was good. But I did have a moment where I was like, ugh, where's this going?
And ultimately, she's supposed to be 17 or whatever. He, in actuality, was 35.
But what was
Double.
she in actuality though?
Well, like 25 or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
27 apparently. But she was supposed to be 17. He did not look 25, let's face it. Like, she didn't really look 17 either, but she did look younger.
Yeah, and why is her nickname Baby? Like, there is sort of suggested in there that like she's out of her depth or not in a place where she should yet be. Like, she's not mature enough for this. I don't know whether they've done that on purpose so that it's like quite, I don't know, distinct or just making you think about it. But I did have a moment where I was like, this is not really appropriate. And then as the story goes, it's fine because obviously they do both like each other and it's good. But it was just a bit surreal.
And it's funny again as you get older, isn't it? Because you start thinking, like, when maybe if you were 17, you'd be like, this is amazing. I'm 17. This 25-year-old dance instructor might be interested in me. And now you're just like, oh, why is that creepy guy just gyrating on that 17-year-old? So fucked up.
But we'll go with it for the story.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the other bit of the montage for me was that she obviously, they dressed her so conservatively at the beginning, didn't they? And like you say, the nickname of Baby and that real like feeling of innocence.
And the Cardi.
The Cardi, we had to mention the Cardi because I wrote down, Lucy, you would literally love that cardigan. And at the same time you texted and you were like, where do I get that cardigan from?
It was, for the listeners, well, you would have seen the big fluffy woolly cardi that I'm pretty much wearing.
That you are wearing. And then she just got like less and less dressed as the montage went on until for some reason she was just in her pants, just constantly.
Yeah.
At the end.
Warm. Okay.
But
It was a warm summer,
night.
1963.
Very warm summer.
So Penny goes off for her situation. Procedure. Penny goes off her procedure. So Johnny and Baby do their dance at the other resort, and then they cannot do the lift, even though they practice the lift a lot in the water, which was amazing as well, by the way.
The water is the best place to practice lifts.
Yeah.
It was said in the film.
Apparently it was filmed in like November or something, and it was absolutely freezing.
Oh, really?
And the two of them really didn't get on. And when they filmed those lifts, they were basically just like hating each other at that point.
Well,
Yeah.
that is good acting.
Yeah.
Never good.
No.
And what about the scenes where they're gyrating on each other? Are they falling out then? Or are they okay?
So apparently they made them re-watch their audition tapes anytime, because they were in a film together before. They'd fallen out during the course of that, and then they did their audition tape and had great chemistry, and they were like, no, we can make it work. They're like the best possible people for it. And then they, like, when they were actually filming, all the time they would fall out and not be able to like get on.
Really?
And then they would make them watch the audition tapes to be like, this is what you need to do. This is why we got you. You know that bit where he is running his hand down her, like, inside armpit?
Yeah.
That bit was entirely, like, genuine. Apparently he was getting really annoyed at her. She couldn't stop laughing because it tickled. And they just left it in exactly as, like, it was supposed to be a properly, like, dirty dancing bit. But yeah, she couldn't stop laughing and he couldn't stop getting annoyed. True story. So when they get back to Kellerman's in the evening, Penny has gone for her procedure, but is really, really unwell from a botched abortion. And so she goes to her dad, which I think is really sweet, bearing in mind what you've just said as well, Sam.
Yep, he's still always there for her.
Yeah, he's still there for her, and he supports her anyway.
Yeah, but can we just pause here? So the way they described the abortion was it like a fold-out table and a dirty knife? Was it something like that?
Yeah, it was something gross, wasn't it?
Yeah, which is this another nod to like class issues where she wasn't able to access healthcare that perhaps someone of a different class would, which I don't know, I just thought was quite a graphic way of making that distinction.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, is there another issue? I mean, yeah, maybe it is that, but is there also another issue of whether or not it was legal in that state?
Oh, yeah.
Like different states
yes,
and different
that's
laws.
Yeah, that time, that state.
Well,
like
at that
everything.
time, was it legal at all?
Yeah.
In any state?
Almost 40 years ago. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But like that might have been the thing.
Well, remember, it was supposed to be 1963.
Oh, yeah.
Where presumably...
Of course. Sorry.
Remember 1987, but 1963.
Yeah. Oh yes, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know, but
Yeah.
That's petrifying.
yeah,
Isn't it? Right. But actually, it is amazing that they've got that in the film. Like, I think, didn't you say that there was some kind of internal debate between producers or something as to whether to include that in the film? The fact that there was, one of the people would have an abortion, that would be an actual scene, not just, even just as like a throwaway thing, but like it is actually an integral part of the film.
So apparently they were going to be sponsored by Clearasil. So it was like a teenage film. So Clearasil was going to be used in it as like a product placement thing.
Okay.
But when they learned about the abortion element, they pulled out entirely and refused to do it.
Oh no, this is scary.
Yeah.
This is scary because obviously, well, I don't claim to know everything or much about the issues in the States about abortion now, but it's still relevant, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's still
absolutely.
Yeah.
hotly a massive issue.
Yeah.
And it does, sorry, go on. Well, I was saying, if it's going to be described as a folded table and a dirty knife, is that just as relevant now as it was back then for some people in some
Yeah.
parts of the world? Because that's petrifying,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I think actually them including that in the film, the whole scene with the abortion and everything that happened there, and they didn't skirt around anything. Like, it was very like detailed in their explanation and the effects that it had on Penny, like medically afterwards. It really helped. It made me appreciate this film more, and I think that's why it stood the test of time more. If they'd have cut all of that out and it was just a film about dancing, I don't think we'd be still talking about this film like 20 odd years later, 40 years later. Yeah.
And amount of time, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same as well. And you sort of forget as well, because it's not the first thing you think of when you think of Dirty Dancing. You think it is going to be just a feel-good movie, but actually there's some hard-hitting themes. Very good.
So, Baby grabs her dad to help sort out Penny after everything's gone wrong.
What did he actually do as a doctor? Like, she wakes up in the middle of the night. He grabs his doctor bag.
Yeah.
What
What
does he
there?
do? And like, what has he got in there? Is he
Yeah,
got
his
magic?
travel doctor bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that all doctors keep next to them at all
Yeah.
points of their life.
It reminds me of the Sherlock Holmes books where everything was just a bit of whiskey. And it's like, and they were fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rub that on your gums.
Yeah, broken arm, bit of whiskey. Yeah.
Rub that on the baby's gum so they're fine. They're cured.
Or brandy. Is it brandy or whiskey? It's brandy.
I'd say brandy.
Yeah, I think it's
Brandy
brandy.
sounds older.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but not only does he say that she's okay with his magical doctor's kit, he also says that she can still have kids.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
again,
Yeah.
how on earth is he
Yeah,
getting that
exactly.
information?
She was so relieved. Like, I can still have children. What is he doing? What is he looking at? And how does he know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What has he got in that bag?
Yeah, but that's good news. Regardless of how he knows. It's good news.
That's great
I'm happy.
news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless he's an utter bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm never going to see you again.
It's not my problem.
Jake Harris, man.
What was that? I'm Jake Houseman and I don't care about you. So he also presumes or assumes Johnny got Penny pregnant. And obviously Johnny's all cross and is like, how dare you? But was gyrating on her for like 10 hours in front of 200 people. So probably can't be that annoyed.
It's a fair assumption.
Yeah.
And then the two of them basically begin seeing each other and dating.
Against her father's wishes.
Yeah.
The forbidden fruit. Classic.
So then Bungalow Bunny, Vivian Pressman, turns up. As described by Max Kellerman at the beginning as women who stay all week long and their husbands just travel up from the city at the weekend.
That's a man who likes to call things after animals. Yeah. Those is dogs and bunnies.
I would rather be a bunny than a dog.
The dogs get looked after too.
Yeah.
True.
And
True.
I wouldn't rather be a bunny than a dog.
No.
Really?
Well, no, animal-wise, I would much rather be a dog than a
No,
bunny.
I mean,
Even in this
I mean
scenario.
metaphorically, yeah. So you either sleep with all the randomers in the park.
Bearing in mind for Abby, one of them is Patrick Swayze.
Well, else Patrick Swayze, actually. Well, no, because he doesn't take the bait.
I think
Yeah,
he
but he
used
has
to.
before.
He has taken.
I think
lots
he's-
of bait.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, he's taken bait.
He's had his fair share of bait.
Yeah.
As per their conversation.
Okay. Well, you be the bunny and I'll be the dog. I mean, the dog's just wearing like fluffy cardies and being left alone. So,
True. Actually, that sounds great.
Yeah, that's.
I think they still have a good time.
If they want,
Yeah, they can go to like
the offer
dance
is there.
classes and
the
stuff.
offer is there. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But this dog is declining.
exactly.
Oh, God. And also, I love you, wife. So he rejects her proposal. She sleeps with Robbie, who is a twat, and we hate him. And actually, there's a couple of bits where he's supposed to be the absolute villain, isn't he, of this whole thing?
Yeah.
And there were two bits in particular. Actually, there were three bits in particular, 'cause there's something else really weird that he said. But he said, some people count and some people don't,
Oh.
which was a great, terrible villain phrase.
Yeah. I remember that.
And he said, you went slumming it as well to Baby.
Oh yeah, just before him and Johnny have the fight, isn't it?
Have that adorable fight as well.
Yeah.
They're just like wrestling around for a bit. And he also said, ask not what your waiter can do for you, but what you can do for your waiter.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
So I
Extra tips. Yeah.
And so he's sleeping with Bunny Vivian as Lisa was knocking on his door to lose her virginity to him.
Yeah.
Such a douche.
Yeah, he's the worst.
Yeah, but that was a lucky escape from Lisa.
Yeah, I think we're all quite like relieved for Lisa there, aren't we?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then so Vivian, as she's coming out of Robbie's cabin, she sees Baby leaving Johnny's cabin, and because he has burned her advances, she starts to seek revenge on Johnny and try and get him fired by saying that he stole her husband's wallet. Max Kellerman is about to fire Johnny, and then Baby says, no, don't, because he is good. And everyone's like, what? No, go away. You're just a baby, even if you are going to join the Peace Corps. And then she ends up having to say that she was with Johnny the night of the theft.
The whole night.
The whole
Scandal.
night. Scandal.
And the dad is crushed.
Crushed and cross, but crushed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And crushed is the worst.
Sam, how would you feel?
It's a dagger through the heart, if I'm honest. She betrayed us.
All dads.
All
She
that.
betrayed all dads.
She did.
She's following her heart.
No.
She's finally found that one person in the world.
She's finally found that one person after 2 days at Catskills. She knows what she wants for her whole life. She's learned some dance moves, and that's worth destroying 17 years of her dad's trust.
Patrick Swayze, then, isn't it?
Patrick
Yeah, I took that into
Swayze.
account.
Oh, Snake hits himself.
Nope.
I feel like Patrick Swayze's a pass. For anyone at any point, any time. Dad, husband.
No, no. Not at any point of any time.
Well, no, not now, maybe.
What's the next point? We're not going to talk about the zombie pack. That's not. We shouldn't do that.
No. But then we find the real thieves, and they're the most adorable 90-year-olds ever. Sylvia and Sydney Schumacher, and they're great. But then Johnny is still fired anyway, for just, what is it, fraternizing with guests or something.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fair. Well, they all are, to be fair.
Yeah.
An example is made of him.
Yeah. And then Baby apologises to her dad.
Hang on, can I just
oh,
pause here? I don't know whether this is the right bit, but it's quite, like, annoying the way that Johnny's like, oh no, I deserve it. I'm like, this is what's supposed to happen. I'm just like crappy working class. And he's like quite self-defeative in these scenes. And you think, come on, stick up for yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
I know he gets there eventually, but that little scene where he just takes it all and is like, yeah, whatever. Quite annoying. You think he'd have a bit of backbone to him.
Yeah. Yeah, like, how can you get on in the mean streets if something terrible happens and you're like, guess I'll just roll over then.
Exactly, and he didn't steal it. I know they're saying, well, they know at this point he hasn't stolen it, but, you know, there's no, like, fire there to be like, you treat me like shit and this is not okay.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, I'll go. And then does go. Until.
Yeah. So Baby says sorry to her dad for lying, but not for being with Johnny, and says that the whole reason that he doesn't want her to be with Johnny is because he's classist, and that he would be happy if she was with Neil or anybody else, which he probably would be. I don't know.
Mm.
And then we move on to essentially the last scene, which is amazing and long, which just ties everything up nicely, and starts at the end of season talent show.
Yes, which I think is a bit early in this, but the rehearsals for the talent show has one of the redeeming scenes of the whole film, which is Lisa's hula song, which was really good. It's just really long and really nuts in the middle of that thing. She's not the best singer, but it was really, really funny and really entertaining, and I liked it.
That's a very polite way of putting it.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect the song, like her pitch or anything, but it works with the song, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it's funnier because it's like built up.
Yeah.
Like there's the bit where the dad, when they're having like breakfast, I think
Oh
he's
yeah.
like,
What should I say?
we're gonna leave. And she's like, no, but what about the talent show? I was gonna sing I'm So Pretty or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. I wonder if they'll show that. And they fucking show it.
Oh,
And she's so confident, isn't she? And you're like, this is why that happens in the world. Sometimes, as a parent, as a friend, you just need to speak up a quiet little word in the ear to say, this isn't for you. Like, as long as you're having fun, great, but do not put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
But also, so the contrast between Baby and Lisa. Baby is called Baby. She's treated like a baby in that you're forbidden to see the sky, whereas actually it's the older sister that's acting super immature.
Yeah.
And is like, just acting more of the baby of the family. And so perhaps the dad is sort of trying to encourage that because that's more preferable to him than her going off and sleeping with some bad boy.
Well, yeah, singing a hula song badly is pretty fine in what's happened that week, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So perhaps he's quite happy to see her do that and just stick to that more childlike
Yeah, the innocence.
activity. Yeah, exactly.
You are right to call that bit out. That is really funny.
It needs a mention.
And it's like, a little bit of lightness, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I think that Lisa is unlikable for a lot of it. And then there's that bit. I get the impression that you like her quite a lot, Auntie Sam.
She's just a normal person. Like, I don't think she did anything that means we don't like her, does she?
He's a bit annoying to Baby, I think.
Yeah, there's like a couple of times.
Yeah, Baby's a bit whiny and like
Yeah.
annoying anyway.
Maybe it's just a sibling partnership,
Yeah,
like relationship. Yeah.
yeah, probably is. I suppose you're just watching the film through Baby's eyes, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So then Dr. Houseman gives Robbie an envelope. And Robbie says, "Thank you so much. I didn't know that you would actually still do this for me after I got Penny pregnant." And Baby's dad's like, "What?" And then takes the letter off him and rips it up. Then Johnny comes, amazingly, in a time before mobile phones. He's got together a group of dancers who
flash
all
mob.
know the same song.
Because he does the end of the talent show dance, and everyone knows that.
Everyone,
Everyone knows that. That's a thing.
like literally everyone knows that.
Yeah, and he may be 34 years old, but he will do that final dance.
He will do it
Yeah.
because it's really important that
Yeah, because nobody else will ever get their moment.
Also, I think because this is the moment where Johnny is like, screw whatever you think of me. I'm bursting back in, and where he goes over, doesn't he? He says that line, like, nobody puts Baby in the corner, which I'd never really understood without properly sitting and watching the movie, because everyone quotes that line, and I'm thinking, well, what does that even mean? But
It wasn't really a corner, was it? She was at the side.
I had so many questions about that
It's the
this
side of the
time.
room, and it's like she's sat like against a pillar, but
Yeah.
it's not a corner.
And what was he going to say if she was sat like the other side of the table?
Yeah.
No,
Right.
he would be like, nobody puts Baby on the outside of a table.
Yeah, I think he was like, he was probably there a good hour before, and she was on a different seat, and he's like, she's in the corner, go, 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 go.
Yeah. No, but
Yeah.
he couldn't because he does the last dance.
He does the
No,
last
but he
dance, yeah,
does.
that's true.
Yeah, that's crucial.
But I think the whole the whole thing, well, from what I'm taking from this, is there is like a bit of an acceptance of change is coming.
Yeah.
He's like calling out Baby and being like, this is what she is. She's not a baby. She is
I mean,
a grown up.
he could call her Francis if he was really trying to make a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's terrible.
But then
Yeah,
also,
nobody
like,
wants that in a t-shirt, do they?
He puts Francis
Nobody
in the
puts
corner.
Francis.
I think they do.
Oh.
Sorry, all the Francis of the world. We love you.
But the end of the talent show dance is, I mean, it's not properly dirty dancing, but it's more dirty dancing than the start of the film when they're like twirling each other around and being traditional.
Yes, less sweaty dirty dancing.
It is less
Yeah.
sweaty dirty dancing, but it is.
It's adult dance.
Yeah. So I guess maybe that guy reflecting about what the kids want these days is a bit of a nod to things are moving forward.
Yeah, he's embracing that.
Yeah, we have to change. We can't stick to the old like ballroom twirling around
Yeah.
Yeah.
dancing stuff.
They need dirty dancing as in like more sexy dancing, not dirty and
Yeah.
sweaty, which is what we were
Yeah.
led to believe.
But the old ladies were loving that end
Yeah.
thing. I was
Yeah.
like, they're well up for it.
Oh yeah, they had their little like
Yeah.
boogie in the middle of the dance floor, didn't
Yeah.
they?
So whoever was keeping it traditional was not gauging the audience. They like a bit of sweat, a bit of adult themes to their dancing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing in the end.
Great song as well.
That is a good
Right.
song.
Amazing song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an absolute banger. And obviously, they end it with the climactic. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
The lift.
Yeah. Is it in slow
Yeah.
motion? Or is it, no, it's the jump off the stage that is in slow
The jump off the stage, and then they do that dancing in between.
You know, the whole
everybody.
time I was thinking, she's on the stage and he's not. I was like, she's gonna have to somehow gracefully get down from the stage. I was like,
don't you worry.
I really wanted like, hang on, I'm just gonna go find the steps and like go round. I was like, any minute now she has to get down from the stage. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
That would be you and me, Luce. We'd be like, just hold on. We're coming in
Yeah.
10 to
Or
15
you sit down
minutes.
on your bum, scooch down.
But every single person in this whole world has always like joked about doing that lift when that song comes on.
Oh,
You've
for sure.
always spoused
Yep.
across the room and they're like, do the lift.
Yeah.
And you like run and pretend to pick them up. And
Yeah.
it's classic school disco. Maybe we're showing our age,
Mm.
but there's been plenty of school discos where everyone pretends to do that lift. And that's
Yeah.
on.
I think you showed someone else's age when you were like talking earlier about being at weddings and discos. and there being an old man across the room. So what discos have you been to? You mean clubs?
No,
At the discotheque.
Exactly.
That was the bit as well. I thought maybe like all the time through, I think there's a lot of like things that I felt like the continuity wasn't there for it. Like it is set in 1963. There's a lot of stuff that just feels like 80s. Like her outfits a lot of the time look like she's just dressed from the 80s.
Yeah. And that song came out in the 80s.
That song,
so that was weird because it was in the 60s.
Oh,
film.
he gets up on the stage and he says to the band, "Oh, play it," or something, and then they play the most 80s song in the world, and then. But again, it's supposed to be 1963.
Oh, yeah.
It's just very strange. And throughout that scene, there's loads of stuff like that. Like it then pans out, and just all of a sudden they've already like moved all of the tables out, and everyone's dancing.
Yeah.
In the space of literally like 10 seconds. Like that point, there's just so many like not things that they just don't stick to the continuity of what that is, what it could be. Yeah.
There are so many movies like that though, where I'm just like, don't question it.
Yeah.
So many.
Absolutely.
So I feel like we can maybe forgive some of that stuff and go with it.
Yeah.
But was that song not made for that movie then? I thought, I've never heard that.
No, I think it was.
Yeah. I was just joking that this song came out in the 80s when the film was supposed to be set in the 60s.
Yeah.
But it does sound
it's very
80s,
80s,
doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
So they could have picked a song from the 60s and done that.
Oh, yeah, but obviously like they wanted a new song for the film.
Yeah.
Or they could have written a song that sounded way more 60s than that song.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. I see what you mean.
Great. And then, they do the lift. Everybody dances. Everybody, for some reason, knows the dance to that song. They're all doing it together. Amazing. Fade to black.
No, a nice interaction between the dad and Johnny. He says, when I'm wrong, I say it. Or
That dad
when
is
I'm wrong.
just the best, isn't he?
It's his film.
It's his film.
Yeah.
It is about him.
You're right.
Yeah.
You called it.
I stand by that.
Yeah.
There's probably like loads of people on the internet be like, yeah, obviously, we said.
Did you
Or there's somebody saying, no, it's about the mum. If you watch all the scenes properly, this is about the mum. And we're like, oh, okay. We can
I
do
don't
this.
think that's true, though.
This is
is
the
it?
Vivian
Mum's just
film.
there.
And what do we think happened after? Did they get married and live happily ever after?
Not a chance.
No.
Did they have the time of their life?
Oh,
Their
for
best
that summer.
Wow, summer loving.
Like, she was going home the next day, wasn't she?
Yeah. They had some time in their life.
And yeah, she's got the Peace Corps.
No, that was a great choice, Ab. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's a really good choice. So now we come to the part of our podcast where we give a score to the film. As usual, there are 3 categories for us to consider: enjoyability, shareability, and masterpieceability, where each of the categories will have a score from each lad out of 5, meaning a total score of 60.
Simples.
Simple as that. So the first category is enjoyability. So, Luce, what'd you give it?
I gave it a solid 4.
4, okay. Abby?
3 from me.
Oh, Dan.
I give it a 3 as well.
I also gave it a 3. So, Luce, you went in highest with a 4. Why?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I knew what we set out to watch, so although it's quite a simple movie, I really enjoyed it for what it was. I enjoyed the adorable moments, and like we've said, there was more to it than I originally thought, with all the stuff about class and abortions and that sort of stuff. So, well, it's really good.
Okay. Ab, 3. Your film choice, you gave it a 3 for enjoyability.
Yeah. It's an enjoyable film, but also it's not the best ever, is it? And there's like a lot of bits where you're like, okay, this is such a trope now. Or this is, yeah.
Okay. Dan, 3.
Yeah, to be honest, going into it, I had seen it before, and this 3 was probably higher than I thought it would be when we first set out to watch the film. I was probably going to give it a 2 or 1, to be honest, but I think, like I said, those things that were in there that I had forgotten, and actually they're dealing with quite big issues at the time. It made me think, you know what, actually there is more to this film, there's more depth, and I did enjoy it more than I thought it would.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm the same, actually. I wasn't overly excited to rewatch this. This is the second time I've watched it, and it was about a year ago we watched it. And I was like, okay, let's watch this. But it's a film, if you pay attention to it, it's more enjoyable than you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
And there is a story there. The music's pretty good. Like, you can have a nice evening watching it. So yeah, I gave it a 3.
I enjoyed all the text to that effect from everybody as well, saying, I really wasn't looking forward to this. Like, I thought it was a bad choice. It was slightly better than I expected it to be. Those are all
We really wanted to
enjoyable.
boost your
These are enjoyable moments for me.
So the second category is shareability. Dan.
I gave it a 1.
Okay. Ab.
A 2.
Cool. Loose.
A 2.
And I gave it a 1. Okay. Ab. 2 for shareability.
You shared it with us.
Yeah.
I shared it with you guys.
Thanks to that.
Yeah, exactly. The people I hate most in all the world. Yeah, no, I don't feel like there's that many people who would want to see it that haven't seen it, as it's an almost 40-year-old movie. Like, I feel like it would, again, say way too much about me for me to share this with too many other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it should be a challenge for everyone to go into like work and strike up a conversation, be like, "Oh, have you seen that film Dirty Dancing?" And
It's
just
amazing.
be like, "Yeah, I've seen that film."
But if it was a brand new film, would you recommend people to watch it?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good question. I very
like
much
it's
doubt I would
also
watch
no.
this film
Yeah.
if
What,
it was new.
Patrick Swayze. Young
Even.
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, no, I don't think I would watch this film now.
Wow.
I think
Really?
there's 20 of this film made every year
Oh, yeah.
now.
Yeah, and if you wanted to suggest a dance film where 2 people would start off not friendly and then end up in love, you could probably find like 40 within like a minute if you needed to.
Save the Last Dance.
Step up.
Best movie
High
ever.
School Musical,
Yeah.
High School Musical 2, High School Musical 3, High School Musical 7.
And then the last category is masterpiece ability. Ab, what did you give it?
I gave it a 2, a generous 2.
Okay. Dan, what did you give it?
I also gave it a 2.
I also gave it a 2. Luce, what did you give it?
I gave it a 2.5.
Ab, you gave it a 2.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I think that, like I say, it is a formative film. I've spent my life looking for a 34-year-old dance instructor.
How many dance classes have you been to achieve this?
It's impossible.
It's going to be a natural meeting as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But it's not.
You've carried watermelons all around.
I am always carrying a watermelon. You know that about me. That I will never put one down. Until I find Patrick Swayze.
You're going to have to go to him.
But it's not a necessarily a well-made film. There's some bits, like, for me, that 2 points is because of the bits that are iconic, the bits in the pool, the bits when they're on that log,
Yeah.
which
Lisa's song, all that kind of stuff that really stands the test of time.
exactly the montage, the freeze frames, the fading out, these things that stand the test of time.
Dan, 2. And you said you need to rethink it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. 2 is okay. I mean, I can probably go the rest of my life now without watching this film.
Oh,
And in terms of-
unlikely.
Yeah, masterpiece ability. It's one of those films that I think, like you said, you don't need to see this at the cinema. And actually, there's a lot of continuity issues.
Yeah,
there.
on a phone would be fine.
Yeah. And actually, you might just be happy just watching some of those clips that you just like again.
Yeah.
And you don't need to watch the film again.
Probably just listening to the song on a long drive would tick the box.
Yeah.
Because you would think, like, oh, yeah, that was a good film.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I hear you, just watching Patrick Swayze in the water, that would probably do you.
Yeah.
Hang on though, I feel like
That's all you need.
I might rethink mine in terms of at the time when it was made, it was probably more of a masterpiece than it is now.
Oh, I factored that in for mine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's where I was going with my discussion. Like, my 2 points are based on, I think it was for the time,
Yeah.
quite good. for now, not so much.
No, but I think for now, and probably 99% of the reason why I chose this movie is you just want to look at Patrick Swayze. And did you know in Ghost he had his shirt off? We could have done with that.
Oh,
And that's not Whoopi Goldberg.
why aren't we watching that?
Exactly. Let's add it to the list.
I feel like I've got a lot of kind of false fake news in this episode that I don't actually like Patrick Swayze.
But I think on
The gist. Just the
Just
gist
the concept
of
of
the man.
you want the gist of a man. Is that what you're saying?
All over me.
That is a perfect time to round out this podcast.
Almost. No, I agree with Luce that although it may have been good for its time, it's not stood the test of time. You have a film like Lord of the Rings, which is 20 years old, or 1991's Pure Luck. Like, these are films which are still now, as much as they ever were, just pure masterpieces. But you take Dirty Dancing, like, is it as good now as it was 36 years ago? Probably not. So yeah, my 2 was like definitely scenes in there, like the end talent show Time of My Life scene, which have probably done really well, but for the rest of the film, it's quite forgettable. And so yeah, only a 2 out of 5, and that's probably rounding up, if we're honest.
And you, or somebody said about Old Boy that although it was filmed 20 years ago, it could be today.
If that
Like,
came out today,
there's-
it would be as good as it was then.
Yeah.
Nothing would change, like, for being made now.
And that is not the case for Dirty Dancing. That could
No,
not
I mean,
be
because
said.
I feel like it has been remade because it probably wasn't enough of
Yeah.
a masterpiece to be untouched.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is a classic. I mean,
Oh, it's definitely a classic.
it is on that list of 100 greatest movies. So
And it's the original. It's the OG
Yeah.
of that
yeah, you're right.
plot, really.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it probably is as good to watch as all the other ones. But people want to see it with newer songs, with newer people that aren't wearing 60s/80s
Yeah.
outfits. So
Yeah.
And they're still alive.
yeah, but
Really.
everyone who watched that as their first exposure to that will go back to that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 2 is probably fair for that. But overall, out of 60, it has got a score of 27.5. So it's still in our top 10 because we've done less than 10 podcasts. But I feel like it may be one of the first ones to drop out. But yeah, an enjoyable film that just isn't as monumental as some of the other ones we've discussed so far. I think is fair.
Breathe.
Thank you for coming along to this week's Lads Film Club and joining us while we discuss Dirty Dancing.
We'd love to know what you thought about it too. Did you enjoy it as much as us? Let us know on our Twitter or Insta. Find the details in the description.
Join us next week when our film is a joint Lads Choice, where we'll be discussing the new release, The Marvels. This is the latest entry to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we can't wait to see it and discuss it.
This is going to be so good. I literally love Miss Marvel.
If you enjoyed listening to our podcast, please leave us a rating and a review.
And don't forget to share with your own lads.
We'll share it with anyone, really. We're not picky.
But maybe not your pervy dance teacher. Not for Dirty Dancing, anyway.
So grab your popcorn.
Round up your lads.
Keep watching.
And join us next week.
Bye.
And then he does what?
No one.
For anyone who's anyone nervous is going to be in the final cup, we have our dogs in the room, Rocket and Bucky. And Bucky is just farting the whole time we were recording this. I don't know if that was picked up on the mic, but that was
Oh boy.